Water. No type of life could exist without it. The sea itself is a matrix for most of the life on this planet. And energy. Every living thing has its own energy. It's life force, if you will. And when water and energy combine, they give us the most important component there is for sustaining life on Earth. Take this spring. Here you'll find the perfect combination of water and energy. You know, if all of us could bathe every day in a spring like this and drink of its water, we should all be far more healthy. Why? Because of the life force that's in this water. It's vital force. It's the same force that's found in the great springs of the world. Saratoga in New York, Wiesbaden in Germany, and of course, Bath in England. According to English legend, Bladude, the father of Shakespeare's unfortunate King Lear, founded Bath in 863 BC when he was cured of disease by bathing in its steaming swamps. Several centuries later, the Romans built a great spa at Bath, famous throughout the known world. In the 1700s, many of the baths were rebuilt after centuries of neglect by those eager to partake of their curative properties. No one can deny the many cures that have taken place by bathing in such springs. And yet efforts to duplicate these waters by adding minerals and salts to distilled water have always failed. Why? Because they can't duplicate the vital force that's in those waters. It's the same vital force that's in our own bodies. And what is that vital force called? The ancient Chinese called it qi. For thousands of years, practitioners of Chinese medicine have been aware of this wonderful life-sustaining force, which they call qi. Other Eastern civilizations were aware of this energy also, such as those in India and Japan. But our knowledge of the ancient qi comes to us primarily through the Chinese. They believe that qi is a universal force which inhabits all things, and that the health and well-being of people, of plants, of animals, of the universe itself is dependent upon a natural harmony contained within the concept of qi. Now, whether you subscribe to the beliefs of ancient Chinese metaphysics or not, one thing is certain. Our own medical science has come to the realization that there is a measurable life force within all living things. But instead of calling it qi, they call it bioelectricity. Bioelectricity, that's the electric current generated by living tissue. It's a property of all living things. If you have an electrocardiogram, an MRI, or even a lie detector test, your body's bioelectricity is being measured. Certain diseases are diagnosed and even treated by bioelectric measurement. Now you may say, hey, this is all very interesting, but what does it have to do with this Aqua Chi machine I'm using now? Well, let's take the name itself, Aqua Chi. Aqua, Latin for water, Chi, the Chinese word for the life force we've been talking about. And what I'd like to do right now is show you how the Aqua Chi works and why it helps us so much. Come on. I'd like you to meet a friend of mine, Lisa. She's a new Aqua Chi user who has some of the same questions that most new users have. I imagine some of her questions have run through your mind too. Hello, Lisa.
Hi, Ron. I'm ready for class.
The Aqua Chi is a machine that can make a world of difference in your health, in your energy level, in your life. Now, those are big claims, and talk is cheap. So the first question we need to answer is, does Aqua Chi really work? And if so, how? But before we go any further, it's important that you understand a little something about the human body. As most of you know, the human body comprises billions of cells, and each one of those cells is a small factory, making life possible in everything from field mice to sequoias. And what makes a factory run? Electricity. The same force that powers the great factories of the world powers your tiny cells. And on the outside of the walls of each cell, there is a low voltage charge. This is the bioelectricity we referred to earlier. And bioelectricity involves the flux of ion gradients that is governed by the cell membrane's transport system.
Hey, wait a minute. You've lost me already. Would you like to try that again?
Well, we don't want to confuse anybody, but this is an important concept. You see, an ion is simply a particle at the atomic level that has an electrical charge. It can be an atom, a cluster of atoms, or a single electron. The important thing to remember is that the particle has an electrical charge. Are you with me?
So far.
All right. And the term gradient means that it has a graded or moving value. Now, what this means is that the cell is surrounded by an energy potential that allows it to do its job for your body.
You mean like a battery?
Yes, more or less. It's an electrochemical potential, stored energy that can be converted to other forms. And when we breathe, when we absorb nourishment, when we think, when we talk, we are dependent upon that energy. In plants, it manifests itself in the form of photosynthesis. In fact, there's nothing that any living thing can do that isn't dependent upon that energy.
All right, let me see if I have this right so far. Each cell in my body has its own little battery, and it uses the energy from that battery to do its work, whatever that may be. And if for some reason my cells don't have that energy, I'm dead.
That's it.
Okay, now I know that the Aqua Chi has something to do with electricity, and I know that it helps my cells by allowing a safe amount of electricity to enter my body. But if the cells already have their own little battery packs, why do they need more charge?
Well, because sometimes that electrical charge becomes depleted.
When we get older, I suppose.
It can be because of age or because of illness or injury. And when the cells can no longer draw so much power, they can no longer work so efficiently as they once did. And so...
I no longer work as efficiently as I once did.
Right.
But wouldn't it be difficult to change the charge of a cell? They're so tiny.
Well, for a long time that was the case.
What changed things?
Some very smart people. Okay. The key lay in creating conditions that allowed cells to absorb energy on their own.
How?
Well, remember we talked about ions.
Yes.
What the Aqua Chi does is create an ion bath, an ion soup, if you like. But don't worry, it's completely safe. We're not putting electricity from the wall into the water. That's the miracle of Aqua Chi. It creates in the water the type of charge that your cells will accept safely. Remember, the electricity in your wall is a flow of electrons. The bioelectricity in your body is a flow of ions.
So it's like a battery charger.
Sort of.
But I use battery chargers every day for my phone, for my camera, and the charger always touches the battery.
Right.
But this isn't touching my cells, not inside my body, so how does it work?
Well, Lisa, there's a principle in electricity that the higher charge always flows to the lower, if both are like charges.
Okay.
Look, the Aqua Chi is to you like a battery charger is to your car. The greater electrical charge of the charger flows to the lesser charge of the battery until they're balanced. You don't have to do anything to make it happen other than to create the proper conditions. And what the Aqua Chi does is create a higher charge than the one that's around your cell walls using the medium of water.
And so because my cells have a lower charge, they automatically take the higher charge.
That's right.
That is really neat.
It really is.
But suppose my cells get too much charge.
They can't. Your body regulates the amount that they can take. The charge absorption rate of the cells is determined by the body.
All right, I am really starting to get this now. The Aqua Chi creates the same type of charge in the water that my cells have, and because the charge of my cells is lower, they take the charge from the water.
Right.
And I suppose that the lower my cell's charge is, the faster it absorbs the electricity.
No.
No.
If a cell has a much lower charge than it should, it's probably because it's unhealthy or damaged in some way. It's just like the battery in your car. If one of its cells is damaged, it can't take a charge the way it should. So the healthier your cells are, the better they can accept the charge.
Great. You're just like the banks. They won't loan you money unless you don't need it. So if my cells aren't healthy, the Aqua Chi is not going to do me any good. And if my cells are healthy, I don't need it.
Now, wait a minute, I didn't say any of that.
But you said...
I said that the unhealthy cells took the charge at a lesser rate than the healthy cells, but they still take a charge. And that charge, little by little, begins to build up and give them the energy they need to repair themselves. And the healthier they become, the more charge they can take.
And so there is hope.
Of course.
But why charge healthy cells?
To keep them healthy. At some point in all of us, our cell charge is going to degenerate unless it's continually refreshed.
Are you saying that this thing can make us live longer?
Live healthier. There's something I'd like to show you.